All right, Jeremy, if you can continue to let those that are coming in still in, that'd be great. I'm going to get going. Hello, everybody. My name is Dawson Blank. I'm the Executive Director at the Minnesota Youth Athletic Services. There's a lot of familiar names and there are a lot of new names, which is great to see. This is the August virtual outreach. Since June of 2020, we have conducted virtual outreaches to the Minnesota Youth Basketball Alliance member associations. It became extremely crucial during our pause in youth basketball in November and December of 2020. And through this alliance, we were able to get everybody back to participation on January 15th of 2021 through the streamlined approach of the return to participation and everything we did together. Last year was a more normal year, and we're hoping that this coming year is the same as well. So this is just a way for us to get together to talk about the upcoming season, to make sure that everybody's on the same page with the new guidelines that were established by the MYBA MYAS Board of Advisors, because believe it or not, I know you all are intimately involved. We are about 60 days out from the start of the winter community-based youth basketball season for 2022-2023. So again, everybody, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for being a part of the Minnesota Youth Basketball Alliance. And we're looking forward to a great year, which would be MYAS's 31st year assisting in the facilitation of community-based youth basketball. So some of the things we're going to go through tonight, we wanted to pass along an exclusive MYBA member pricing that our longtime supporter Signature Concepts is providing all member associations. We have a health, safety, and wellness minute by U.S. Council for Athletes Health. We're excited to have Dr. Chad Asplund here. Some of you may remember him from past virtual outreaches, but we're excited to have him a part of it. Iceberg Parent Education, Linnell Sell will just talk to all of you about an opportunity that you could take advantage of and something that she's developed. She is a former volunteer youth basketball coach for Wyzetta, and so she has lived it and been a part of it. And then Jeremy will go through a lot of things related to the Minnesota Youth Basketball Alliance, and I will end it on some focus areas and some value adds that the MYS team is putting together. So I will start first. This is something that we are going to continue to do. And this was the intent of the Minnesota Youth Basketball Alliance, to be able to create exclusive offers for member associations. And this is just one example. Signature Concepts, who's been our provider for apparel since 2001. They're also are an authorized dealer for Spalding basketballs. This may be late for some of you, but I just wanted to pass along that this is an opportunity for you to get dollars off of what the retail price would be, and Dave Dover would happy to help you out. But there is a tab on the MYBA page that lists out exclusive offers, and there are other offers on there right now, and we are committed to adding more exclusive benefits for all MYBA members. All right, I'm gonna turn it over to we thought that it was important with the MYAS's partnership with the U.S. Council for Athletes Health, which means, as Dr. Craig Perry has stated in previous virtual outreaches, that means that USCAH is also the partner of the Minnesota Youth Basketball Alliance. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Craig Perry so he can talk really quickly about things that you all can take advantage of as leaders within your association. And then he's going to introduce Dr. Chad Asplund.
Thanks, Dawson. Glad to be back again, and I'll make it quick. Just a reminder, we're entering into our third year now with the MYAS. And not only have we put together education programs available for coaches, but we also have them for parents and student and youth participants, for officials. in some really important areas. Mental health is a national topic we're discussing, diversity, inclusion, equity, also behavioral issues, sportsmanship. So we really want to be there for you. And not only are we a partner with the MYAS, you need anything in the health, wellness, or safety areas, you can reach out to us, and we are there to support you and provide you programming and assistance as you need it. I'm happy again to introduce to you Dr. Chad Asplund. Chad is an executive director with the U.S. Council for Athletes Health. And one of Chad's many things that he does, he's also the medical director for USA Basketball's junior national teams. And Chad spent a lot of time in Europe this summer with the national team. So we're lucky to have Chad again here for about 5 minutes just to talk about some health and wellness and safety items that should rise to the forefront for you, and just to set the table for you as you get ready to start your basketball season. Chad?
Thanks, Craig, and thanks, Dawson and the MYBA for having us. It's been a great partnership. Last time I spoke, it was around COVID, so I will start out kind of this health and safety update with COVID and the new CDC guidance. They're treating everybody the same, whether you're immunized or not now, so that no longer matters. If you do test positive, there is still that recommendation to isolate for 5 days. And then after 5 days, you can come out of isolation. What we are recommending is that if you're in an indoor space, to continue to wear a mask from days 5 until day 10. And if you're in an outdoor space, no need to wear a mask if you're practicing or having games that are outdoors. Hopefully, I know that Dawson said we're 6 to 8 weeks away from basketball season, but hopefully the guidance will update before then, and we'll be able to give you a better update. The other thing with the CDC and COVID is there's no longer a formal quarantine requirement. So if you are a close contact, documented close contact, it's recommended that you wear a mask if you're in indoor group settings and try to distance. Consider testing yourself on day 5 or if you develop symptoms, but there's no longer that formal quarantine guidance. And so the U.S. Council has put together an information sheet on this that we can make available to the MYAS and the MYBA, as well as a return to sport after COVID document, if that's something that you're interested in. And Craig can push that out to you, Dawson, and you can get that out to the group. Monkeypox is something that we're talking about. The big cities in America are seeing it, New York City, Washington, D.C. I don't believe that it's made its way to the Twin Cities yet. We have a frequently asked questions document on monkeypox for sport groups. Right now, we're not recommending that anyone change the way that we do sports at this point. The only exception to that would be wrestling. And really, we're just recommending the usual stuff for all sports, that if you have a illness or a rash, that you see a physician and you don't go to practice, and that you still practice the same hygiene that you would otherwise. Wash your hands, make sure that you wash your towels and your uniforms after practice. Don't share any equipment with others. And so that's just something that we're recommending. The third piece that's kind of a hot topic at this point, and I know with your group being grades 3 to grade 8, you may think you're a little bit on the young side for this, but I think mental health struggles are something that are real. I think the COVID and the pandemic has really kind of brought those to the forefront. And so we're really encouraging athletes, parents, coaches, officials, really to just keep an eye out for, symptoms. If there's a change in behavior of an athlete, if there's, self-harming behavior such as cutting, if the athletes just don't seem normal, we need to break down the stigma around mental health, and we need to make it okay to talk about it. So the U.S. Council does have educational tools for parents, for coaches, for officials and athletes, but really just trying to identify it and make sure that athletes and coaches are comfortable talking about mental health issues if they think that they're coming up. The last piece I had was around sportsmanship. I know that we've seen a lot of issues around the country, particularly with parents, whether it's having a shortage of referees or umpires, just parent behavior, but that can filter down to parent behavior as well. And so just kind of reminding your parents and your athletes that sport, there is competition and you play to win, but you're also playing for fun and to make sure that there's just good sportsmanship being had. Those are the big issues that we're kind of pushing out right now with our other youth groups. And those are the hot issues with the USA Basketball Youth and the USA Basketball Junior National Team. So just wanted to kind of give you guys that update. So really appreciate it. I've really enjoyed this partnership and I look forward to working with MYAS and MYBA in the future. So
Hey, Dr. Chad, is there anything specific to basketball related to your time this summer with USA Basketball or anything that you want to pass along to these basketball leaders?
Not really. I mean, I spent a lot of time with Kara Lawson and the women's 3x3 team. I think Kara is a fantastic example of what good coaching looks like. She had a viral Twitter video that went out about encouraging young people and players to get better at doing hard. That if you think that if you only make it to high school, things are going to get easier. If you only make the JV team or the varsity team, that things are going to get easier. It really never does get easier. You just have to get more comfortable with doing hard things. And I think that's a piece of that resilience development that coaches are such a key part in. And Kara was so great at pushing that information out to the national team and then as well to her players at Duke. And because of the way social media works, it went viral. So we were still following the COVID guidelines. The Federation of International Basketball, or FIBA, was still pretty tough on that. The tournament I just went to in the Dominican Republic was a little bit looser around COVID, but really the key points that we're talking about, again, COVID, mental health, sportsmanship, and those are all appropriate for the youth space as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Chad, for joining us. And I will make sure that we get Craig's information out again. You will continue to see information made available related to athletics health space and the mini modules they have available that your association can take advantage of. And we will continue to push out, again, resources and information related to health, safety, and wellness throughout the 2022-2023 winter community-based youth basketball season. So thank you, Dr. Craig and Dr. Chad.
Thanks, Dawson.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dawson.
Yep. All right, moving on. So I'm just gonna give Linnell a few minutes to speak. I believe she's on right now. A few years back, Linnell came to MYS team members and talked about a parent-specific education course that is not out there right now. We have now married that to Trusted Coaches, and it's an offering that's available through Trusted Coaches. So I'm just going to turn over to Linnell. Linnell, are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
All right. Floor is yours.
All right, thank you. So thanks, Dawson and Jeremy and the MYBA for allowing me to speak with you tonight. Basically, I just want to kind of cover a little bit about what the iceberg system is. It seems like most people think the biggest problem in youth sports today is the fact that a bad sideline behavior. And I think we think that because that's what we see. We see parents, screaming at officials or trying to coach their kids from the games, or we even see on social media that people getting into fights, things like that. But that bad sideline behavior is really just the visible tip of the iceberg in problems in youth sports today. I think one of the biggest problems is the fact that like 70% of kids quit youth sports by age 13, which is just crazy to think. And the number one reason why they quit is because they're not having fun anymore. So whether you think that those stats necessarily reflect your organization or not, what it does is it shows us that it's not just the crazy parents and coaches on the sidelines that are damaging youth sports for kids. Like well-meaning parents and coaches are making mistakes. For example, coaches do things like they'll allow one kid to play through an error while another kid gets yanked from the game and benched as soon as they make a mistake. or they'll allow or never allow certain kids to ever be a starter or play a certain position, or maybe they don't get to play during big moments of a big game. And parents do things like they'll coach their kid on the car ride home, even though their athlete is just exhausted and not in the mood. Or they'll give their athlete like maybe rewards. They'll say, I'll give you some money, or we'll get ice cream if you guys you win, or you score 10 points or get 8 rebounds or whatever that may be. Or they'll also do things like they'll tell their athlete, hey, don't be nervous, it's just a game. These are things that well-meaning parents and coaches do, but they actually suck the fun out of youth sports. So what I've done is I try to develop a program that helps parents from doing exactly that. So I want kids to have a blast and keep playing year after year. And one of the things that it's a little bit unique is that it combines both parent and coach education. So parents and coaches we're trying to get them on the same team, so they both know what it takes to create a great youth sports experience for kids. And so when parents and coaches work together rather than fighting against each other, organizations themselves should have a lot less problems and complaints between the parents and the coaches. And overall, the program is meant to be really easy for parents and coaches to consume, as well as very simple for youth sports organizations to implement. And basically, it's broken down into 3 different phases. The way it works is that the first phase happens before tryouts, because that's always kind of a hot button. It gives parents information on the trial process and team selections and how to help their athlete through those processes, especially if they're disappointed on what team that they're going to end up being on, or if they get really nervous about tryouts. The main core of the program really is a curriculum of 6 different short online courses. And the courses are short in the fact that they're only like 30 minutes, and parents and coaches of 3rd through 8th grade athletes take 1 course per year. And so that basically the way it works is it's kind of like a school curriculum where they progress as their athlete kind of goes throughout the sports system. And if you've got any questions about what kinds of different information is on the courses, the easiest way to do is if you can scan that QR code that you can see up on the right-hand corner. That'll bring you to a page where you can get all kinds of details about what are actually in the courses and what information or more details about the iceberg system in general. And then finally, the 3rd phase is, as we call it, action emails. It's like a short weekly email that's sent to parents and coaches, and it just reminds them to put one specific thing that they learned during the course into action, because we all hear a bunch of information, but this basically is just a little reminder that helps them actually try to create new sports parenting or coaching habits. And so we're just trying to basically educate parents and coaches so they can provide kids with the best youth sports experience possible. And so the iceberg system is $10 per parent or coach. And if you've got any questions, you can certainly reach out to me, whether it's by email or through the website, or you can certainly scan the QR code to get any details. So that is it. But thank you again for letting me speak tonight. I truly appreciate it. And I appreciate my partnership and connection with the MYAS and trusted coaches.
All right, thank you, Linnell. And again, Linnell at icebergsportseducation.com. If you, as the leader of your organization, has interest in looking into this further, it's housed through trustedcoaches.org. So thank you again, Linnell. All right, moving on. We are going to turn it over to the Associate Director of Minnesota Youth Athletic Services, Jeremy Innes. He's going to go through a lot of the stuff that we went over in June, but we're going to highlight some things that maybe have been more questions that have been raised. I think in general, Jeremy will probably attest to this as well. We are very happy with, I guess, the way that people have handled the change in the guidelines. We've heard a lot of great compliments about how things have progressed and what the task force proposed and was voted on by the MYBA Board of Advisors. So we're excited to get into this new year with these revised guidelines. And we feel that it will just be more straightforward and streamlined. So Jeremy, go ahead.
Thanks, Dawson. Getting into the MYBA membership. The membership opened back in June. There's a $100 annual fee. To this point, we've got well over 100 associations that have renewed their membership for the upcoming season. So that's great. The biggest thing, for the associations right now to get that membership renewed is so you can get your tournament listed on the MYBA tournament index. That's the only way tournaments can get listed on that index. And that page is already getting a ton of traffic on our website. So renew that membership if you haven't already, get your tournament posted. so people can start signing up for your tournament. One thing to keep your eyes open for is we are working on a communication tool between the association leaders. It's going to be stored within the MYBA portal, and what I envision it to be is that if you're an association leader with access to the MYBA portal, you can log in, click on the communication tab. You can select the associations that you want to communicate with, and then it will send an email to the board members of each of those associations with the email address that we have on file for them. So ways to communicate, maybe with teams that displayed poor sportsmanship at your tournament, or if there's teams that maybe haven't paid their entry fee, something like that, you know, through your network, you can communicate to each other and give everybody a heads up. Or if you've got an independent team from your association, you want to notify the other associations just to give them a heads up for them if they sign up for their tournament. Things like that, you'll be able to communicate with each other. MYBA membership updates continued. The big thing that we're asking is just keep your information updated within the MYBA portal. And you know, if you've got new board members, please get them listed. If people are no longer involved with your association, please get them removed. Because we build our communication list from the information that's currently stored within the MYBA portal. So please update your board members and also your admins, the people that have access to the MYBA portal. And just to clarify, the MYBA admins and board members. Board members are people that have their name, role, and contact information listed on the board members tab within the MYBA portal. That does not give those people access to the MYBA portal. If you have maybe a new board member this year and you want to get them access to the MYBA portal, somebody with access has to log in, click on the Manage Owners button, and then they can key in the new person's email address. And if that person has an account in our system, it will attach that account. So when that user logs in, it'll bring them directly to the MYBA portal. Again, please keep those admins and those board members updated so we can communicate effectively. Team composition guidelines. As Dawson said, we're very happy with the response that we have, you know, to this point. When they first came out, there were some people, you know, rightfully so, that you know, wanted some clarifications on and wondering what it was going to do to their association. We've had lots of communication with different association leaders, and as far as we know, everybody that we've spoke with has not only a good understanding of them, but feels comfortable moving in to the upcoming season. So we're very happy about that. Continuing with the guidelines, this just talks again about, as Dawson mentioned, how they were formed. We had our eligibility and team composition task force that were very instrumental in putting the guidelines together. And then they presented it to the full body of the MYBA Board of Advisors, and they were unanimously approved. So essentially, our new team composition guidelines are determined by where the player goes to school, with a few exceptions. So the first thing, where does the player go to school? And that will determine which association they can play for. There are some exceptions made for kids that attend private schools, charter schools, home and online schools. And it really clarifies the documentation that's needed to prove residency and to prove school attendance in the different situations. I'll touch base on where the residency component comes in a couple slides and what's needed to prove that. Also, there's a caveat for school districts that have multiple high schools within their district. This is something that you know, is definitely an issue that those association leaders are working through, because a lot of times those elementary and middle schools will have kids that feed into different high schools. So we've got a policy in there that helps address that. And the main thing that we're looking for here is just open communication with those neighboring associations, with those associations that are in the same school district. And you know, just being on the same page is, you know, kids that attend this school, who are they eligible to play for, and so on. So please keep that communication open.
And I will say again, we stress it later on, but it has been great to see, you know, the associations of ISD 196, Eastview, Apple Valley, Egan, all working together. And then you've got Mounds View, Irondale, for example, that have share a district. I think that's the biggest thing right now, is just the collaboration and having open conversation, communication, like Jeremy talked about.
All right, so one of the exceptions that are available is the player transfer policy. A lot of people still refer to this as the waiver, but we're trying to move everybody to use the player transfer terminology. The player transfer is where a player can start the process to try and play with a neighboring association. If for some reason they don't want to play with their home association, they do have the opportunity to go through the player transfer process. They need to get it approved by their home association. And then there's a spot there where they need, on the form, where they need to be accepted into the association that they want to transfer into. And we also allowed an additional player transfer to help ease the transition into the new guidelines. You know, we realize it's not ideal for players to play with one association last year. Now they got to play with the new one this year. So we did allow that additional player transfer, that if those associations do border, we want those associations to work together, and when it makes sense, to approve the player transfer for those players so they can continue playing with the association that they have been playing with. The next slide will show our grandfather clause schedule. We basically wanted to allow every player that participated last year under the old guidelines to have that additional opportunity through that additional player transfer allowed per team. So this year will be grades 4th through 8th grade. Next year it'll, you know, bump up to 5th grade and so on. But for the most part, grades 4th through 8th grade can have 2 player transfers per team for the upcoming season. Another exception is the residency exception. And these are for players that want to play with an association that they don't share a border with. The example listed down here is Matamidi and Wayzata. You know, could be a split family situation, but it doesn't have to be a split family situation for this to apply. But, you know, this could be a situation where maybe the father lives in Matamidi and the child lives in, or goes to school in Wayzata, maybe stays with the mother, but they want to participate with Matamidi Traveling Basketball Association. Since the player attends school in Wayzata, that Wayzata is their home association. They can apply for the residency exception to be able to play with Matamidi. There's a document on the MYBA webpage that's titled MYBA Residency Exception, and fill that document out, send that in to us. And we do need some supportive documentation that does show, we need a document or a screenshot, copy, something from the school that the player attends that lists the other parent's address on it. So in this situation, they would complete the residency exception form and then also obtain a document from the Wayzata schools that lists the MYBA address of one of the parents on that form, and that form needs to accompany the residency exception policy form, and get that sent to our office. Both the residency exception and the player transfer, those are all due by November 1st. Hopefully people are working on those if they're wanting to get them. We realize tryouts are a lot sooner than that, but there are some other associations that maybe have their tryouts a little bit later. So we wanted to accommodate them as well.
So once again, repeat again, Jeremy, how many transfer and
Sure.
how many
So
residents?
it is acceptable for a team to have 2 player transfers on a team and a residency exception on the team. So that's up to 3 players that don't attend school within that association or within that high school attendance area that they're representing. And just clarify, it's 2 player transfers and a residency exception, and a team can use all 3 of those for this upcoming season. All right, so at this point, we have notified via email all of the players, families, coaches that were a part of the MYBA last year, and even beyond. We've communicated the new guidelines to them. We're strongly encouraging, if you haven't already, the association leaders to reach out to all the players that participated with your association last year to notify them of the changes, just to make sure that they're trying out for the right association. We're also encouraging the association leaders to ask which school they attend on the registration, and even go as far as collect documentation that verifies the player's school at tryouts. Again, we got the special note: collaborate, communicate with neighboring associations, just so you're on the same page, and keep that open dialogue going throughout the season. If you have any questions with any of the exceptions or the guidelines themselves, don't hesitate to reach out. Tournament directors, this is information that we're hoping that you can use. As I mentioned before, get your tournaments on the tournament index. There's also, if you go to our MYBA page, we also list all of the current members. That's a good spot to check. If you're unsure if a team is eligible, start by checking that list. If you're still not seeing the team, feel free to reach out to one of us at the MYAS office. We really want to make sure that everybody is upholding the eligibility guidelines throughout the season. MYBA playing rules, we have those posted on the MYBA page as well. The biggest thing that creates is consistency for the players, for the coaches, for the officials. Best example for that is a 4th grade team. So they know, in the past, it's been all over the board. Can they press? Can't they press? Is it only the last 2 minutes? Is it only in the second half? So if we can get everybody to buy into those MYBA playing rules, that would be great for everybody. Tourney Machine is a great bracketing platform, and you can utilize that for as little as $2 per team. We also encourage you to make sure you're accurately identifying the teams that are in your tournament. That way, when it comes time for seeding the state tournament, we know which team it was. We've seen a ton of teams bounce back and forth from A and B tournaments throughout the season, B and C tournaments throughout the season. So really make sure you've got the naming structure down with the community name, the gender initial, the number of the grade, and then the unique identifier, which is often a color or a number or a coach's name. And unsportsmanlike conduct, please do your best to, get that policy in place and communicate it to the participating coaches and teams that are going to be playing in your tournament, and let them know what they can expect when they get there. If you do have any situations that you want to report to us, please do. On the MYBA page, we've got a compliance and reporting email address listed there. And please share that information with us. As I mentioned in a previous slide, we're working on some communication tools, so you can communicate that to the other association leaders as well.
Yeah, before I move on to the next slide, I just want to make a note that we utilize this compliance and eligibility reporting system within our youth baseball programming this summer, in our league programming, and it worked great in conjunction with Youth First to be able to have a spot for officials, for opposing teams, to be able to provide legitimate incidents that took place. So then a third-party review can then look into it to see what kind of action needs to be taken, work with the association where the individual or individuals originate from. So this type of action is not tolerated inside the Minnesota youth community-based basketball, and it allows us all to work together regardless of what tournament they are participating in. We are all part of the Minnesota Youth Basketball Alliance. And so it's important as tournament directors that if something happens at your tournament, please report it to make sure that we curb that so it doesn't become an issue throughout the rest of the season. So Jeremy, anything else you want to add before we move forward?
Nope.
All right.
Tourney
Okay.
machine. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
move
we
on.
already went through the tourney machine part. So again, if you as a leader of your association, or you're a tournament director and you want to take that extra step related to messaging, related to additional verbiage, that would be at your tournament, and become an accredited tournament, we have a long-standing partnership with Youth First. And so that is available to all of you. Regardless, we really want everybody to establish their zero tolerance policy inside their tournament to ensure that unsportsmanlike conduct and bad behavior does not happen at your tournament either. So if you have interest in becoming a Youth First accredited tournament, please contact myself or Mark Argis, and if you don't know how to get a hold of him, you can email me directly, dawson@mys.org. All right, I'm going to turn it over now to the MYAS Assistant Director of Officiating and Administration, Carolyn Dirksen, who also happens to be a collegiate football and basketball official. So she's one of the two individuals that leads up our trusted officials team. And she will go through some things that you as an association leader can take advantage of to assist in recruitment, education, and retainment of officials, because we need them really bad. And as you can see at the top, if we don't have officials, we don't have games. So Carolyn, the floor is yours. Okay, I saw her come on earlier, but maybe she is not on anymore. I will go through this really quick.
No, I'm right here, Dawson.
Okay, go ahead, Carolyn.
Thank you. So like on that first, Tony and myself, we're working with our youth officials. Our emails are right there. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help out with your officials and also within your organization. As you can see right here, I'll be actually sending out an email to all of you tomorrow or even on Thursday with this flyer that you do see on there. We would love to come to your association and train officials that you guys, or you have people that you have interested in officiating. Please take advantage of this. We love to help you out in any way possible. And through our process with trusted officials, we are teaming up with Minnesota State High School League and moving towards arbiter sports, so then we don't have to duplicate efforts for officials. And one thing we'd love to do is come to your preseason parents meeting. This would be a complimentary thing we'd love to offer, is to talk to the parents about that relationship between the player, coach, official and parent as well. I think parents hearing it from an official can be very beneficial. So please take advantage of this opportunity that we do have. And then especially for your in-house program, we would love to also come and do roving or have a roving training for your in-house officials, but also invite partnering associations. For example, in early October, we are partnering with Zimmerman and Princeton and Elk River to do their in-house training for officials. We haven't set a set date yet, but we're in the process of doing it, and we're very excited to come and just talk to their officials as well. As I already mentioned, we're going to be moving to Arbiter Sports, so it'll be a great collaboration that we can do with the Minnesota State High School League and also for our officials. And then just for the continuing education throughout the season as well, we're going to make sure that our officials are still keeping up to date with rules, and also if there are certain things we need to go over that occurred in certain tournaments, we're going to be going over that and just trying to provide the best experience. So I know Dawson's going to touch on this last slide, but as I did mention, my email is on there, and as well as Tony's. So please don't hesitate to ask us for any questions. We want to make sure we help you guys out and to have a great season.
All right, thank you, Carolyn. And just again, 2 notes. We had sent out a PDF that is a marketing material for me, or I could go old school and call it propaganda, where we're giving it to you to basically send out to your membership that to try to get people involved in officiating. Activate your former alumni, individuals that have been volunteer coaches in the past, or players that you can get activated into your community. They can help you with your in-house programming. They could maybe move into traveling this year possibly as well. But we all need to come together and try to recruit as many individuals into the officiating community as possible. And then that second PDF that would be sent out, or was sent out, and it's going to be sent out again by Carolyn, is promoting our roving instruction, which she talked about for in-house officials, specifically targeting your high school players within your community to get involved in officiating on Saturdays for your in-house programming, or possibly be the next generation of officials. The biggest thing that we all need to do as a youth basketball community is make sure that we don't automatically have those officials become the enemy once the ball is tipped. We need to change or flip that switch and try to have a positive rapport, try to understand that if we don't have officials coming to games, we won't have games happening. And the other thing, Carolyn and Tony are going to really work hard to have some accountability with the officials too, to make sure that they understand that regardless of the amount of games they're on in a day, that it may be a team's first game. And we have to keep that in mind as well. So last thing to keep in mind, all the assigners that the MYAS uses, you may utilize as well for your tournaments, but those individuals have committed to ensuring that their officials are trained, screened, and educated with concussion instruction, with going through trusted officials or the Minnesota State High School League, and they're completing a background check. The other thing to note is this off season, myself and the trusted officials team and other members of MYS looked into our game fees, and we actually elevated them as well. And I know that a lot of people feel that the answer is just raising the fees to ensure you get officials to your games. That is part of it. We're talking about the other part of the education piece. But as a rule of thumb, all of our winter tournament series through Gopher State, our other specialty events are roughly $28 if they're MSHSL registered, or certified, or if they are a trusted official. If for our grade state, we are paying $30 per game. So that's, as a rule of thumb, where we're at in the officiating market, between 28 and 30. A typical invitational, we would recommend $28 per game, and we pay $4 per official per game for the assigner. Just wanted to pass that along so you were aware of that as well. Some other things that we wanted to pass along to you as value adds. We're really getting things organized for the early fall, or excuse me, the late fall into the winter months. Some of the things that may be new that you may be wondering if it's going to happen. We have the MYBA Coaches Clinic set for October 15th at the National Sports Center in Blaine. It'll be held for whatever association wants to send their coaches to it. We've got Reggie Perkins, former collegiate player, former coach, athletic director, that'll be the keynote. And then we have Coach Omar McMillan of Richfield, who's also the president of the Black Basketball Coaches Association, Coach Mike Swan, the new Irondale girls coach. And we also have Coach Mike, who is the Coon Rapids boys coach. Those are some of the individuals that will be helping us conduct the clinic. We'll be talking about specific topics for a youth coach. And then we will, the afternoon, we'll provide lunch. And then the afternoon, they will go through drill work and practice plans. So showing how a practice is completed with drills. So looking forward to as many associations as possible. Pack the gym, $300 for as many coaches as you want to attend. And we are going to have a special discount for MYBA members if you can get your association registered before September 9th. So there will be information coming out on that by this Friday. We have the Jamboree kickoff event that will include training for coaches, parents, and players at Mounds View High School Activity Center and Irondale High School. So that's a great kickoff, 2 games, reduced price, give your team some opportunity to be able to participate in an exhibition style. We strongly encourage all the associations that have reciprocity with Irondale and Mounds View to participate, as you will receive a discount no matter how many teams you submit. We do have the MITs that have come back. We are referring to them as grade state remixes. October 13th is the top 16 A teams. And then we have also top B and C that'll be part of our MLK Day festivities. And we're adding a new one this year that'll be the Clash of Champions on President's Day. There will be a special invite at the end on Mondays or Tuesdays after a weekend is completed, where teams that place first at a local invitational or MYBA member tournament, we will invite them to the Clash of Champions, and there will also be a special recognition at a Timberwolves or Gophers game. We do have the ability to have in-house basketball league administrative services. We run a really large league on the northern side of the Twin Cities. It's called the Northern Twin Cities Basketball League. Allows for consistency no matter who is the director, because we understand that people come in and out of their role as the in-house director. So to add consistency, because we will always be here as an organization and team members. So that is helpful for those 9 associations that are part of that league, as well as a couple other leagues that we administer. There's stuff with a name brand or a name change. Instead of calling it Super Saver or Winter Shootouts, it's going to be the Winter Tournament Series. There's going to be specialty events, other opportunities to be a part of it, themed events. We also have some stuff through Rising Stars if you want to take advantage of some team camps, maybe not have your teams participate in as many tournaments, and you want to turn that into some team camps instead. That's an option. And then Trusted Coaches is there as well, which we know 78% of the MYBA member associations already utilize that for their training, screening, and education for their coaches, along with the ability for the associations to easily track and manage their progress. So with that being said, Jeremy, do you have anything in the chat that we need to go through?
I do not. Looks like we're all caught up.
Okay. Looks like Coach Pete, I'd be happy to talk to you if you want to come into the office, or you want to come and talk to Jeremy, myself, Akua. That'd be awesome. If anybody again has any questions, we are here to serve. We are facilitating. We are steering the ship. We're not dictating. We are here to assist all of you as the leaders of Minnesota Youth Basketball Alliance, because this is yours. We are facilitating the process. So we want everybody to have a true understanding on the new guidelines, on what is happening for the season. And we would be happy to talk to anybody that has any questions. Between Jeremy, myself, the other team members, we're here to serve. So with that being said, if anybody doesn't have any general questions, we will end this virtual outreach. All right, everybody have a great evening. And thank you again for your time and dedication to youth basketball.